this is a great prelude to introduce one of our participants that finally was able to join us. We will start with Sharon talking about her art and her work here to collaborate also with Camilo. He has prepared intervention. Just to introduce him, Camilo Antonio is a writer, poet, and activist, and he has created a program for engagement with Roma communities in Central Eastern Europe within the Erste Foundation. And to celebrate 10 years of engagement, he has prepared opening for one exhibition in Budapest, and he would like now to read to us. So Camilo, welcome, and thank you so much for this intervention. We are always open to shed the light also on other things than what we are now discussing. I'm doing research myself on Roma discrimination, Roma rights, so the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Do you hear me now? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Svetluša. You and I have been cooperating for some time during the 10 years that I was spearheading that Roma Partnership Project. The Erste Foundation also had a project on the researching diasporic communities in Eastern and Central Europe, and that's where you and I met. It was a very, very good meeting that we continued through the years, and I'm happy to be here to give some input. I'll pick up where Sharon was talking about the importance of the viewer. Here, of course, what I did was I talked about the gazer or the gaze itself. Well, we have a substance there and the act of gazing, but it was a series of exhibitions of Gallery 8 for Roma people based in Budapest. Timea Junghaus, who was then the director, is now director of a very important European Union supported project based in Berlin. But this was what I said when she asked me to please come and give some opening notes. I have accepted this invitation to make the opening notes, marking an important step in a series of educational exhibitions here in Gallery 8, because I know that you, Timea, and your colleagues have recognized that I also know how it feels to have to tear down the masks as a way of unbinding humanity's chains. Masks and chains that are tightened or multiplied from that peculiar lens, the gaze, that medieval eye in our digital camera that fixes and memorializes as it angles the desired body, like the disembodied poetry that have also been dressing up and dressing down your Roma bodies in history. That gaze racializes through the tyranny of static ways of looking, song seeing in a misguided cultural politics by those who wield those whips as truths that make us altogether more slavishly unfree. We still have to unmask and deconstruct that prevailing gaze from which that label, race, in all its variants, emerge and which form the power basis of the overpowering judgmental mind that dominates and suffuses public spaces and media discourse. We need to unmask that prevailing gaze of binding race until all humans become free from the shackles of ignorance and arrogance imposed upon minorities like me, who altogether form the majority, including you, the Roma, but who have been paralyzed and who still need to awaken and reoccupy the cerebral spaces of imperial cultural implantations. We must unmask that disturbing gaze until all of us can transcend and transform the non-free ways that we have been renegotiating within the terms of ongoing social inequalities and political injustices. Like you, Roma and non-Roma gathered here, I am a nomad at heart. But perhaps I may not have been consistent in being proud of that diasporic part in my brain and genes. Like many of you, I have seen the silence of trees that have been praised for being rooted and potted in their assigned places to dance under the free air and giving skies, but being rooted and potted in assigned places. So, like many of you, I have tasted the whispers through the trees, nodding as when we accept to flee like the birds who seek the noise and smell of the cities, to move in urbane ways, to don the civil urban masks, but still as minorities with a lot of unresolved issues with very few, if ever, human rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Camilo. This was really beautiful intervention. I just want to put here on the screen your book that I have from that project from Erste Foundation, The Many Faces and Sides of Race. And you did read even in the workshop at the workshop in Bratislava from this book where you explain what race is. So I hope that we can gather again at the seminar and go through this book because it is very important. And I will also give a floor to Sharon if she wants to react on what was said, because now I want to contextualize what is happening in Slovakia as well as in Serbia. In Slovakia, we have big uprisal against the Minister of Culture. The culture community resists interventions from the power place into this field. And the new Minister of Culture, she belongs to Slovak National Party, nationalistic. When she came to power, she started to fire people from the leading positions in museums, galleries, other institutions. She started to cancel the funding for the culture, intervene in the funding schemes. And she has this kind of claim that this culture, Slovak culture, should be only Slovak. That there is no other culture, only Slovak, whatever that means. And she due to these kind of actions, the people gathered into the initiative. And yesterday we had here protest. I will show you the pictures afterwards. So yes, we have to look at that, how politics tries to oppress not only minorities, but also artists and those who show the mirror to the situation and all kinds of injustice that we are facing.